you probably got sick of me saying this like 50 times to you. This was a couple years ago when it was pretty noticeable that Jayshon Corbin was so much more productive in the run game. When he got the ball, he was cranking out 6 and 7 yards per carry. We know the FSU offensive line struggles, and it just didn't seem like it mattered with him, and he was standing out. He may be the next guy off the board.
Yep, it's looking around that way. I think he's going to be a third round, and third and fourth round might sneak into that second, but I think he's more of a third to fourth, in my opinion. But he's a guy that you can rely on, I think, and that's something that, teams will do. This is running backs. First of all, don't really go high in the drafts anymore. We've learned that pretty quickly in the last 4 or 5 years. And so now, Corbin, for him getting a grade like that isn't a knock whatsoever. And for him also splitting a lot of carries during his college days, definitely in this last season with Deshaun Ward. I think that also comes into effect to taking, Deshaun is definitely a nice prototype, and I think he can continue to grow as a runner. I think that's a guy that, we'll see where he ends up, what kind of system will utilize him. I really do think the running back room, I don't know how stacked it is still, but I think he fits very well in a Kansas City Chiefs type offense where you can kind of let him fly a little bit. And, he's surrounded by some other guys that split some carries. And I think that's where Corbin may fit best. I don't think he's your one guy like a Derrick Henry or maybe a Dalvin Cook. This is a guy that, will probably most likely split some carries with some other running backs. And there's a lot of teams out there that do that. And, that's definitely a place like Kansas City that has that kind of scheme on offense. So that's just kind of a team. I'm not expecting, the Chiefs to go after him necessarily, but for a system to fit him and run into that rotation of other running backs, I think is key. And I want to go back just real quick to Jermaine. I know we're on Deshaun, but I just saw just a few moments ago that now the Jets are heavily interested in Jermaine Johnson at number 4 in the NFL draft. So I thought I'd just throw that in here while we're talking NFL draft, because Jermaine Johnson just continues to go up there, and it would be a pick over Kayvon Thibodeau. It seems like the Jets like Jermaine Johnson over Kayvon Thibodeau. So just something I thought I'd throw in there while we're on here. It was posted about an hour ago.
Got Logan Robinson on the line, Noel Game Day, breaking down FSU's side of the NFL draft. Logan, I know that you've been high on Keir Thomas, feel that maybe he hasn't got as much notice and recognition, the snub at the NFL Combine that you would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, no, I was definitely, I felt disrespected. So I can only imagine what Keir Thomas felt whenever he did not get an NFL Combine invite. And I think it's definitely, you see Jermaine Johnson blowing up and him doing his thing and then being an absolute monster. But then you look on the other side and Keir Thomas was, right there with him. I mean, he is a guy that helped a whole lot. If Jermaine Johnson's getting the pressure, then Keir Thomas is probably coming off from the side and getting the sacks, had almost close to 7 sacks in 2021. He had 12 tackles for losses, 23 solo tackles, and just brought a lot of energy to Florida State's defense. And I think he's going to be an absolute steal for whichever team grabs him. Watching him at practice is special. I mean, you can just see NFL prototype kind of guys. And you see that, I know, all the time at Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, other places like that. But when you look at Keir Thomas, he fits that mold. And this is a guy that I think is going to be, I think he's going to go high. I think he's going to go high. I don't think he'll be a early second round, mid second round. I think it'll be like late second, third, around there. If someone's smart about it, if they've done their due diligence and watched the film, this is definitely a nice class for defensive ends, most certainly. So it might push him back a little bit, but I thought it was definitely disrespectful to him for not earning or not being able to grab a NFL Combine invite. And, we talked about it with him on Pro Day. And, he said, he felt, pretty ticked off, but he used that as motivation and energy to put that on the field during his workouts heading into Pro Day, which he did very well. and he moves a lot faster for a guy that's 6'2", 275. I think he's worked on his body a little bit more, so I think his weight might have trimmed down just a little bit because he's always had a little bit more mass on him than Jermaine Johnson. But he came into that pro day looking a little bit more chiseled than we had seen him during the fall camp. So I'm excited for Kier. Like I said, I hope he keeps that chip on his shoulder, but I am expecting him to be in that late second and in that third round if someone's smart about it. He's just not being talked about enough, and that's because Jermaine Johnson did what he did. But Kier was a big, vital factor on that Florida State defensive line last year, and he's going to be missed looking ahead to the 2022 season, heading into Florida State's next year.